Before we join our ITV racing team for day 2 of glorious Goodwood, all the latest now with the ITV Lunchtime News.
Team GB strike gold again and make history in the pool in Tokyo.
This is wonderful.
This time, the men's relay team got to soak up the glory. Britain's swimmers performing their best at an Olympics since 1908.
Pride is the word that just keeps coming to mind. I don't think I've ever been so proud to be part of a team.
Well, this was how their incredible success was celebrated. We'll speak to the parents of gold medalist Matt Richards. Also, this lunchtime. Inside the prison holding some of the most dangerous terrorists, ITV News is given exclusive and unprecedented access. Hope for those jabbed outside the UK. Ministers discuss dropping restrictions for fully vaccinated arrivals from the EU and US. And the memorial to honour fallen members of the police service is unveiled.
This is the ITV Lunchtime News with Lucrezia Millarini.
Good afternoon. It's only 1 p.m. here, but Team GB has already had another record-breaking day at the Olympics. A spectacular 3 gold medals in the pool for the first time in more than 100 years. Tom Dean, fresh from his individual victory in the 200-metre freestyle, led the British relay team to the 3rd of those golds. Britain now has 17 medals in total, 5 of them gold. There was silver too in the rowing from the quadruple sculls, but not without drama, and the coxless 4 Britain's rowers almost crashed in the final metres of their race, narrowly missing out on a medal. And then, in the last few minutes, a bronze for Charlotte Dujardin in the dressage. Well, Chloe Keedy now on another eventful day in Tokyo.
With 25 metres to go.
While most of us were sleeping, Team GB's swimmers were propelling themselves into the history books. A gold medal in the men's 4x200 metre relay freestyle
Gold to Great Britain.
made this the first time Team GB have won 3 golds for swimming at any Olympics since 1908. The elation, emotion and exhaustion of it all felt not just by them, but also by their families watching nervously back at home. For Tom Dean, it was his 2nd gold medal in just over 24 hours after he also won the men's 200-metre freestyle.
Pretty special. Double Olympic champion sounds pretty good, and the last 24 hours have been a bit crazy. Yeah, it was amazing seeing all your family and friends back home celebrating and kind of everyone coming together.
In the women's 200-metre individual medley final, Abby Wood swam a lifetime best, but missed out on a medal by just 11/100ths of a second.
Just got touched out into 4th.
Team GB were the favourites in the men's coxless 4, having won it at every Olympics since the turn of the millennium. But in the final 500 metres, disaster struck when a steering error sent them veering off course and almost crashing into the Italians before finishing in 4th place.
I have no idea what was going on with the steering in the British crew.
And so it was up to the men's quadruple sculls to bring home the first rowing medal of the Games, Great Britain taking silver behind the Netherlands.
It came up on the scoreboard with us in 2nd. I just let rip. I was going mental out there. It was really, the emotion just came out, and I'm so proud.
Team GB's first boxing medal is also in the bag. Karis Artingstall is guaranteed at least bronze after progressing into the semi-final. And in the dressage in the last few minutes, Charlotte Dujardin missed out on winning her 3rd individual Olympic gold in a row, but will instead take home the bronze. Chloe Keedy, ITV News.
So much to take in there. Well, let's speak now to the parents of one of those stars from the pool, Simon and Amanda Richards, parents of Matt Richards, of course, part of that 200-metre freestyle of the gold medalists. Guys, how are you feeling? Has it all sunk in yet?
Not really. No, not really. It still seems a little bit surreal at the moment. It's been a mad few hours, hasn't it, to be honest with you? So, yeah, it still hasn't sunk in just yet.
Yeah, and it all happened in the early hours of the morning for us. We're just going to remind our viewers one more time that picture of you celebrating, because we can't see it too many times. Let's just take a look.
Oh, my goodness. Confirmation.
Amazing, amazing. Can you just talk us through what was going through your minds at that moment?
Well,
that moment itself, that bit of the video, the lads had done their bit and looked fantastic. You've always got that bit with a relay of just waiting till it's official. So until the results are actually up and they're on screen, that the referees have said that they're happy with all the takeovers. So it's that horrible pregnant pause of just waiting and then just euphoria, just absolutely the most wonderful feeling.
And utter relief.
Utter relief. And do you know what? It's the build-up, isn't it? Because it's such a lot of pressure on such young shoulders. Matt is only 18, isn't he? So a lot for him to cope with, but he clearly did.
Yeah, he did. He's quite a wise young man for 18, to be fair, and he's very good at handling stressful situations, has been since he was a very young age. Better than his mother is all I can say, because I really don't handle it very well at all.
Have you actually spoken to him yet? What's he said?
Yeah, we have managed to speak to him a couple of times. Bizarrely, as we're speaking to you, he's just over there on FaceTime watching us talking to you, which is really strange. Yeah, exactly. No, he's absolutely buzzing, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
He's tired, but absolutely thrilled with what a result in the last however many hours, and I couldn't tell you how many hours ago it was. It was days ago,
or even what day of the week it was at the moment.
Listen, guys, I want to congratulate you one more time. I want a very, very quick answer. I've got to talk about this lockdown paddling pool, because this is what he trained on during lockdown. Just talk us through it very quickly.
Yeah, it was what we could do to help him and support him. So it was a 5 metre long, 3 metre wide, 1.5 metres deep, glorified paddling pool. It's talked as an overground pool, 15,000 litres of water, with a bungee cord attached to the garage wall, so that he could carry on training and get some feel for the water.
Absolutely.
Well, listen,
it's freezing cold as well. Absolutely
freezing cold. But you know what?
When we first filled it up, he never tapered back out.
Listen, it certainly did the job. Amanda, Simon, thank you so much for talking to us. And once again, many congratulations. And hi, Matt, if you're watching. Moving on now, and ITV News has been given unprecedented access to the prison where some of the country's most dangerous terrorists are held. Several are segregated in what is essentially a prison within a prison. We've learnt that they include Hashim Abedi, the man who plotted the Manchester Arena bombing attack that killed 22 people. Well, we understand he's refusing to participate in de-radicalisation programmes. Our UK editor, Paul Brand, who secured the access, is here. And Paul, it's right to say that this is an incredibly rare insight, isn't it?
Yeah, Lucrezia, we were standing shoulder to shoulder during our filming with some of the country's most notorious criminals. We mixed with them in the canteen, in the gym. We heard them exchanging pleasantries between some of Britain's most unpleasant characters. I'm talking about here the likes of Millie Dowler's killer, Levi Belfield, the Soham murderer, Ian Huntley, and amongst them, some of the country's most dangerous criminals. And as you say, for the first time ever, we filmed inside the Separation Centre at HMP Franklin. That is this prison inside a prison where the most radical minds are separated out from the general prison population to stop them from radicalising others. And in there we saw their own separate exercise yard. We saw where they cook and where they clean. We could hear them talking behind the doors by shouting to each other through open windows, talking about when they were going to take their naps, what they'd been listening to on the radio. And amongst the 5 men in that separation centre, we understand, is the Manchester bomb plotter Hashim Abedi. We watched on CCTV as a man we believe to be him associated with another prisoner we've identified as a former Taliban fighter who's also in for terrorist offences. And as you say, we've learned that he is not engaging with any attempts to de-radicalise him, as are several other inmates in there who are refusing to participate either.
One particular person I was working with, we opened his cell door and he said, I'm not going to talk to you. You're an enemy of Islam. You're an Islamophobe. You're my enemy.
Is there any convincing that sort of person?
No.
So there are some people that you can't really work with?
There's some people that are so entrenched in their views, in their ideologies and their beliefs that we just become a holding centre for them.
Well, we were invited in to see the de-radicalisation programmes that are actually offered to these inmates, and the reoffending rate among terrorists is lower than the general prison population, but there's a real challenge here, as we'll be exploring throughout the week. How do you get terrorists to comply with a system that they have so radically set themselves against?
OK, Paul, fascinating. Thank you. Well, you can see more of Paul's reporting on our website at itv.com/news. There'll be a full report on tonight's News at 10. Fully vaccinated travellers from the United States and the EU could soon be able to travel to the UK without the need to quarantine. Currently, only those double jabbed by the NHS are covered. A decision is expected in the next few hours. Our political correspondent Romilly Weeks is in Westminster. Romilly, what do we know?
Well, Lucrezia, the meeting ended just over an hour ago, and I understand the Transport Secretary, Grant Shapps, was happy with how it went and is expected to be able to announce this afternoon that travellers coming in from the US and from the EU who are double jabbed will not have to quarantine. This would be a big opening up of England's borders. It would also be a big deal to all those families who have relatives in those countries and who in many cases have been separated from them since before the start of the pandemic. It would also be a massive boost to the travel and the tourism sector here, with some voices in Cabinet voicing concerns that the UK had been lagging behind the EU in opening up to international travel. There are some voices of caution, though, not least those who are worried that it might be possible to forge vaccine certificates in some way, particularly those from the US, where there is no centralised digital vaccine passport. Labour has called the plans reckless, but I understand that they are likely to be announced this afternoon and could be coming in as early as next week.
Right, Romilly, thank you. A 29-year-old woman is being questioned over the murder of a baby and the attempted murder of another child in North Belfast. It happened yesterday evening. Peter Smith is there for us. Peter, what details do you have?
It was just after 8 o'clock yesterday evening that police were called out to the Ardoyne area of North Belfast, and what they uncovered in a house just behind me has shocked this community and beyond. When they arrived at the scene, there was an injured baby. The baby was pronounced dead at the scene. There was also an injured toddler who's now being treated in hospital for injuries, and a 29-year-old woman in the house who was arrested. Now, it has been confirmed to me locally that the 29-year-old woman was the mother of the children. She was not from Northern Ireland. It was believed that she was looking after a newborn baby on her own at the time and the toddler. But police have confirmed that this 29-year-old woman has now been arrested for murder and for attempted murder and remains in custody.
All right, Peter, thank you. Disability charities and campaigners have criticised a government plan that aims to improve the lives and opportunities of disabled people. The £1.6 billion plan includes £300 million to support children with special educational needs, increasing the number of accessible homes, an audit of mainline railway stations for disabled accessibility, and organising a public awareness campaign to challenge stereotypes. Well, let's get some reaction to that plan, and we can speak now to former Paralympian campaigner and peer, Baroness Tanni Gray-Thompson. And thanks so much for joining us this lunchtime. You will, of course, be aware that this strategy is long awaited. It comes with 100 recommendations, but it's being described by some disability campaigners as flimsy. What's your view?
Well, it's certainly a long report. It's hard to identify where the new money is. There are some things in there which we've been talking about for a number of years. And there's still quite a lot more detail that we need for some of the implementation. The good bit is it recognises that life for some disabled people can be very hard and very challenging. But in some cases, it doesn't go far enough. So in terms of trains, it says there's going to be better provision for disabled people to contact staff actually what most disability rights campaigners and disabled people want is level boarding. So there's still a lot more behind this than the 100 recommendations.
The strategy was informed by a survey, I believe, more than 14,000 people. But once again, campaigners saying that one of the problems was that they weren't consulted. Is that an issue? I mean, were you consulted?
I filled in a survey, but there was significant pushback in the last couple of weeks from disabled people asking the courts to look at that review process. So we're slightly surprised that it actually has come out today. There's a line between saying you consult disabled people and disabled people writing it and being at the heart of it. And we haven't got to that point yet. That lived experience is really important. I think what we all would like to know now is, yes, they said there's going to be a report to government and to Parliament. What does that report look like? What are the targets? Where is their new money? And where is their money that's, a lot of it is already allocated? And, you know, what can we do to actually genuinely change the lives of disabled people, not just talk about changing the lives of disabled people?
All right, well, Baroness Gray Thompson, thank you so much for talking to me about this lunchtime. Many thanks. A ceremony is taking place this lunchtime to officially unveil a memorial to police officers killed in the line of duty. The Prime Minister and Prince of Wales are currently attending the event. We see a live shot now at the National Memorial Arboretum in Staffordshire. Well, families say it will show that their service and sacrifice matters. Helen Keenan has been hearing from some of those relatives.
In 1966, this was described as the worst crime London had known, now infamously remembered as the massacre of Braybrook Street. 25-year-old PC David Wombwell was shot dead alongside 2 colleagues by a gang involved in an armed robbery. Their courage and sacrifice commemorated today at the new National UK Police Memorial in David's and other officers' honour at the National Memorial Arboretum.
That time, it was unheard of for something like that to happen. I couldn't believe it, and yet, of course, I had to believe it. And everything was telling me to believe it, because when you opened a newspaper or watched the television, it was there in front of you.
Theirs was a story that shocked the nation. PC's Nicola Hughes and Fiona Bone killed in 2012 after being lured to a house in Greater Manchester where Dale Cregan sat in wait, wanting to kill a police officer.
At least the memorial at the Arboretum will demonstrate that all these policemen's lives didn't matter. Ask any member of the public, how many policemen do you know have been killed? They'll probably come up with a number like 5.
Since the first professional police force was established in 1749, almost 5,000 have died in the line of duty. It was a long fundraising effort to find the £4 million needed to create the structure, a lasting legacy for those who paid the ultimate price. Helen Keenan, ITV News.
And finally, just before we go, 2 baby birds had a very lucky escape after they were rescued from the exhaust of a jet engine. The kestrel chicks were discovered when the aircraft was brought into a hangar in the Vale of Glamorgan for maintenance works. Engineers then spotted the pair nesting inside and alerted the RSPCA, who took them to a bird hospital for rehab. They've since been named Umit and Lucky after the 2 technicians who found them. Lucky indeed. That is it. Mary will be here with more on the success for Team GB at the Olympics in Tokyo. A gold in the pool, a silver in the rowing and a bronze in the dressage. That will all be on the ITV Evening News at 6:30. The news where you are follows the national weather. But for now, from everyone here on the Lunchtime team, bye-bye.